Okay, so we have here, I want to help you out in terms of the rock, paper, scissors problem. And the problem that many people are having is that when we click these buttons, so by the way, this is work from some of your classmates, Emily, Aiden, and Allegra. So when we click this button, let's say that's the rock, that's the scissors, that's the paper, so they did it creatively. But you notice that when I hold the mouse, when I click, it then disappears. So we want that to stay. Oh, yeah, sorry, let me share the screen. Thank you very much. So we do want this to stay on the screen as the choice, like if that's the rock, if that's the paper, if that's the scissors. We want it to stay on the screen, but no matter what we seem to do, it is not staying on the screen. So, we have a draw function here. Now, the other option is to take off the background. If I take out the background, right, so that might be a solution that you might be thinking about. But if I take out the background, this is what happens. So I'll click there, and then I'll click there, and then I'll click there, and then we don't get it to be erased, right? So then we have the secondary problem if we take the background out. So we can't take the background out. So we need another solution to be able to like click here, and like right now I'm just holding my mouse button down. We don't want that, right? So if you scroll down the documentation, there's something called the mouseClicked function. So we click there, you can copy and paste it. What the mouseClicked function does is if the mouse is clicked, and here they use the mouse X and the mouse Y position, and this is just the width and the height. So wherever the mouse is clicked, so notice that now when you click the mouse, the item stays there. However, there is no background. So just by using the mouseClicked function, it's not going to work automatically, but I'm just going to show you what we have to do. So above the draw function, I'm going to create mouseClicked equals function, and close that. Let me just make sure I got that syntax right. MouseClicked equals function. Yep. All right. So now, if the mouse is clicked, now, what they have done is they have done this. So if mouse is pressed, mouse clicked. What do I do? Oh, mouse clicked. Capital C. And semicolon here. So get rid of O nose there. Okay. So what they've done is if the mouse is pressed, so they use mouse is pressed, just like you did to learn about the buttons, right? So mouse is pressed, mouse X greater than 50. So they figured out the edges here of this button, right? And then they've got functions up here, which is really nicely organized. Draw Blues, draw Stella, draw Terrence, and those are the three different characters that we see here, right? So what we're going to do now is we're actually going to shift these if statements into the mouseClicked function. So so this is if, else if, else if. Now actually those should probably be separate if statements, not else ifs. So let's get rid of that first because they're not to do with each other. So or they could be else ifs actually. They could work as else ifs. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to cut that right out, and I'm going to put that in the mouseClicked function. Now, don't mind, this should be indented. It's just the word wrapping. I'm zoomed in here so you can see it, but yeah, if I zoom all the way out, it would be indented nicely. Bless you. But now, we still have the same problem happening when the mouse is clicked because the draw function, remember the purpose of the draw function is to run how many times? Forever. It runs infinitely many times over and over again. And still the background is still being drawn over top. So just by putting it in the draw function, it doesn't automatically solve our problem. What we're going to do before the mouseClick function is we're going to create some variables. So I'm going to go var, and let's say I'm going to say rock selected. Actually, I guess this is your rock Terrence. Terrence selected equals false. Now these are what we call Boolean variables. We haven't talked about these, but Boolean variables are of great use. So we're going to set them all to false. Var, and what's the other one? Stella selected. I hope you guys are going to have instructions on your game too, right? Because we're not going to know what beats what, right? Stella selected, and then var is blues. selected equals false. Now, so false, notice that we don't put quotations around false, true, and false. There's special keywords that we can use. They're like little flags, true or false. So at the beginning, we're going to create these variables. We declared them with the var. And they tell us, so if they're false, that means that they haven't been selected. If it's true, that means that they have been selected. By the way, I'm recording this, so you don't need to record it. So we have these variables. Now, when the mouse is clicked in this area, instead of drawing Terrence here, so I am going to cut these back out. And I'm going to move them back into the draw function. So I'm just going to move it here. So I don't lose it later. I'm going to move this one here. And I'm just going to comment it so I don't lose it later. And I'm going to move this one here. And I'm going to comment it so I don't lose it later. Okay. So now what we're going to do is, instead of drawing them in the mouseClicked function, so mouseClicked function, by the way, is completely separate from the draw function, right, which is down here. But instead of drawing them in the mouseClicked function, I'm going to set the values of these variables. So, which one was this? Can you guys help me out? This one was, the first one was, I put it in order, right? Draw Terrence. So now I'm going to say Terrence selected gets, so I'm going to say Terrence selected gets true, good. And the other two I'm going to make sure they're false. Now, you could say they're already false, but remember this program is looping around and around, right? So at some point they're going to get switched to true if the user clicks on one of the other buttons. So I do want to make sure I reset those back to false. And then I'm just going to copy and paste that for each one of these buttons. The next one I believe is Stella selected is true, is that right? So set that one to true, set the other two to false. You guys okay with that? And then I'm going to paste that in there, set that one to false, and this one is blue selected. Right? Makes sense? Now down here, I am going to say if Terrence selected so now I don't have to say equals true. I could do that, but it's already a Boolean variable. So this will have a true or a false in it. Does that make sense? It will already have a true or a false in it as we've assigned above. So in that case, if Terrence is selected, let's draw Terrence. So we could do an else if here. Because only one of them should be drawn at any given time. So else if Stella selected then I want to draw Stella. Oops, let's take this line of code that we have here. Okay. And else if blue selected and open and close that, and then we can say draw blues. That's why I saved those there. Now, how does this work? Well, let's check if it does work first. So I just clicked, hands free, hands up, hands up. Let's take this one. Hands up. I just clicked once. Just clicked once. Hands up. Cool? Now, how does it work? Well, because remember, the draw function is drawing the background every time through. Right? So it's drawing the background. So every time, it's over and over again, it's drawing the background. But when I click just once, so I click on this button, it goes to the mouseClick function because it knows the mouse was clicked. So that's first of all. Then it checks where was the mouse clicked. Was it clicked in this area? So mouse is pressed, so you still need to do that. And then it says Terrence selected is true. Sets the other two to false. So then it comes down here, and this is running constantly. So now it's running a million times over and over again, even though I'm not doing anything. It says draw the background, draw Terrence. Draw the background, draw Terrence. Because this one is set to true, these two are set to false. So it's doing this over and over and over again right now. Draw the background, draw Terrence. Draw the background, draw Terrence. Draw the background, draw Terrence. And it's drawing all of these buttons down here over and over and over again. And it's drawing the background and drawing them over and over and over again. So it is doing all of that over and over and over again. And it's drawing Terrence over and over and over again. And as soon as I click somewhere else, again, then it goes back up here. Only when I click does it come into this mouseClicked function. Then it says, oh, you clicked it in this area, sets the values of these variables. Now it's drawing the background and drawing cell up. Drawing background, drawing cell up. Drawing background, drawing cell up. Make sense? Over and over and over again. Any questions about that? So hopefully that's helpful. Now, by the way, you probably want to do a lot more than this in each one of these if statements. Okay, so that's just for the drawing aspect. You probably want to figure out, generate, in this part, you're going to generate your random number for the selection of the computer. So the AI should generate a random number from 1 to 3. You can also then create other variables for the computer one to be drawn. You also want to then maybe even decide who wins. So in all of these if statements that we have here in the mouseClicked function, this is where all the logic of who wins, who loses, will probably go inside those as well. So you'll have a lot more than these 3 lines of code. This is just the one aspect that I'm showing you here. Make sense? Questions? All right.